The Australian Pesticides and Veterinary Medicine Authority is the Australian government's statutory body responsible for regulating agricultural and veterinary chemical products. They assess and register products to ensure that they are safe for humans, animals, and the environment before they can be legally supplied in Australia. Today's guest, Phivo Christodoulou, is the owner and founder of Augustine Approved, a certified organic food brand best known for their human-grade, whole food ingredients, including supplements and skincare. They were the first company to produce 100% certified organic products for dogs under human food standards. The APVMA has been targeting Augustine Approved since 2014, and they are now fighting back and have brought to light a string of disturbing allegations, including harassment and unlawful behaviour. In June 2025, Augustine Approved was issued 2 infringement notices totaling almost $25,000 for 2 products, including $9,390 for the sale of certified organic coconut oil. Is this a case of the APVMA doing their job and protecting our pets, or is there something more sinister at play? Phivo, thank you so much for sitting down with me and having this conversation.
I appreciate your time, Natalie.
So just before we get into everything that's going on with the APVMA, could you tell us a little bit about Augustine Approved?
Certainly. At the end of 2010, I decided for my boxer puppy, Augustine, that I was going to make the best dog food in the world, just so she could live a very long and healthy life. One thing led to another, and I decided to change professions. I guess I just needed an excuse to do what I love, which is work with animals. And Augustine Approved was born. The name came after the very first food that she ever approved. After achieving a world first there by being given the green light to make dog food certified organic in a human facility, I decided that to reach more people, it would be easier to give our fresh food recipes for free and move over into making supplements and skincare so that we could reach more animals around the world. I think from there, what we've seen is a big push for certified organic and human grade products, which I'm very happy that we were pioneers in that field, and that we've been able to make a difference to improve the standards of health for dogs. Because when I did this, everyone thought that I was crazy. The organic certifying body, our local council, all these people said, you don't have to register like this. There is no permit required to make food for animals. And I insisted because we wanted to lift the standard.
And does the APVMA have jurisdiction over a certified organic food company?
Good question. I guess the way that the legislation is written is that it's not about the ingredients per se. It's more about the claims or the marketing claims that you make associated with products that may bring them in line for regulation. And to be clear, I'm not against regulation. What we're pushing for is fair and reasonable regulation that fairly allows natural products to compete in the market against their pharmaceutical competition.
And when did you first have an interaction with the APVMA?
In 2014, I received a notice from the APVMA alleging that some of my products may be in breach of the AgVet code, the piece of legislation that the APVMA rules under.
And what was the breach?
Well, one thing they didn't like at the time is that our product, Faith's Cleanse and Detox, I think this really rubbed them the wrong way. We were making marketing claims that it would take care of internal parasites. This is all science-based. This isn't just things that we throw out there. But that was one of the major issues that they had, is parasites, arguably because the products that actually can be registered, the pharmaceuticals that address parasites, the APVMA is funded directly by them in the form of levies, and natural products struggle to be registered It's literally like trying to register a car as a jet ski. And if we can't be regulated by them under the current archaic way that the legislation is written, I guess they don't want us to make any claims.
And you're talking about registering products. How much does it cost to register a product with the APVMA?
Tens of thousands of dollars at the least. It could be 80,000 plus and Australian dollars. And on top of that, that doesn't take into account all the specific scientific studies to prove your claims that would be required to do that. So I guess the way that the legislation is written, as you can appreciate, in the 90s was for agricultural products and veterinary chemical medicines. It was never written with natural products in mind. So that is why it is cost prohibitive. Ironically, the TGA, which is the Australian version of the FDA, so the Therapeutic Goods Administration, they have what we call a complementary medicines listing for natural products. So you can very cost effectively list your products as complementary medicines. So Faith's Cleanse and Detox, we actually very quickly, in under 24 hours, were able to list that product as a complementary medicine for people, and we could make claims about parasites. It's just not in the legislation for animals.
So was there a resolution to that initial interaction with the APVMA for Augustine Approved?
Arguably. So in 2016, in October, I got my doorbell rang. I was in the middle of renovating my apartment, and two officers turned up with a search warrant or investigation warrant, as they call it, to go through my belongings. Something that we found out later is that the APVMA doesn't have the jurisdiction on a private residence. Sure, I had some invoices and things at home, as anyone has a small office at home, but it was not my place of work, if you will. They did a number of things that we allege are unlawful. And we had a voluntary meeting with them in February 2017. We did our homework. We didn't let them know this, but we discovered that, again, we're alleging this, that they exceeded their statute of limitations. So whenever there's a particular offense, there is a certain amount of time that they can take action. And they did not do that within that time frame, which we claim would make that warrant in any event unlawful. And again, I mean, if it's such a risk and it's such a danger that you have to take out an investigation warrant on someone's private residence, then you'd think they would have done it a lot sooner than waiting about 2.5 years. So we wrote to them and told them, this is what we believe you've breached and you're acting unlawfully. And in response to that, I would argue possibly to save face, they said, we're satisfied with the changes that you made to your marketing, which was under duress, and we'll essentially leave it there. So as far as I was concerned, I had something in writing from their director of compliance saying that that was the end of it.
And this was just for the Faith's Cleanse and Detox?
No, and this is what they've done twice now. This time around, from 2024 to 25, and also from 2014 to 17, they keep changing the goalposts. So even when you try to work with them, okay, so they came, I think they approached me. First, it was about 5 products, then it was about 8. Then I got a random warrant at my door for 13 products with really nothing new coming to light. They reduced their interest after that down to just 3 products at their own accord. Nothing to do with any changes that we made. And so that was confusing. No real reason given. All they said is, these products are of no longer interest to the APVMA. That was the exact words of the Director of Compliance. They approached me again last year. It was 2 products. Then again, it was arguably for a different 2 products. Then in November last year, 2024, they sent me a letter inviting me to comment on 8 products. And then in June this year, we received fines totaling nearly $25,000 for 2 products. So it's very confusing.
It is very confusing. So I just want to clarify, because we touched on this briefly before about the cost of registering products with the APVMA. Have you personally registered any of your products with them?
No, not under the current. It's not practical or reasonable. We have not. I believe I have also a moral objection in this. We have a government regulator essentially wishing to copyright nature. They wish to stop companies like mine from speaking about the science-based or evidence-based benefits of natural ingredients and products. And we can't allow that. That's a level of tyranny that, this is not what the legislation was designed for. I mean, for example, coconut oil. Why would I spend thousands and thousands of dollars registering a product to make common sense claims that don't harm anyone? And it's what we call mild claims. We're not telling anyone that it's going to cure anything or anything crazy. And it's not a safety issue. I mean, people make the same claims for the human label products, no problem. It's not an efficacy issue because really no one's thinking it's going to cure anything. And what's the worst that can happen if someone's not satisfied? They're happy to have their money back. And then is it in the matter of public interest? I don't think so. I don't think that taxpayers want to know that our government regulator is spending all its time on resources, focusing on certified organic products, rather than looking after, at the chemicals that do cause harm that are registered through the APVMA.
So organic coconut oil is one of the products that the APVMA are coming after you for.
Coconut oil? Well, and this is where, because they don't reply, they have a history of not getting back to us. This time around, it's these 2 products, which is basically Superheal. It's coconut oil, turmeric, and lecithin. 100% certified organic whole foods. The recipe for this product is available on our website for free. So even if push came to shove and somehow they were able to prevent us from selling this product, the recipe's out there. So what are they regulating? Anyone can go and buy the ingredients anywhere, not just on our website, and make the product at home. And coconut oil, we don't, essentially we buy from one of the best suppliers in the world and we package it under our brand. We don't sit there making coconut oil. We don't farm coconut oil. Again, I really think that this is a complete overreach. There's a bit in the legislation, Natalie, that says that essentially the APVMA has the right to investigate and do nothing. So we question why, out of all the things that they could be focusing on, why they would focus on something that is not in the public interest.
Okay, so a couple of questions from everything that you've just said. Have they acknowledged that you dealt with them regarding these products back in 2017 and that you believed the matter to be resolved?
This is so embarrassing for them. Last year when I spoke to people at the APVMA on the phone, more than one person, they advised me that they have no record of any past dealings with them. And mind you, I'm very organized. Not only do I have it all on my computer, but I also have all printed out, ready to go for court. We have everything there. And they actually asked me to supply them with all the past records so they could assess that.
They asked you to provide the records.
Yeah, which I refuse to do. It's a statutory obligation that they keep records. Under normal circumstances in the legislation, we would have to prove particular things and, show certain evidence of things, but it's already been provided to them. And it's not my responsibility to record keep for the APVMA. Happy to supply it when this goes to court, but I don't think it's fair and reasonable to ask us to do that.
What have you done as a company to try and work with the APVMA to get the matter resolved?
This is more crazy stuff. So in November, mid-November, they sent us an email asking to comment on 8 products. Two of those products were the coconut oil and the Super Heal product. They insisted throughout the year that I seek legal advice. So on this occasion, I hired a very good lawyer, very competent. We asked the right questions. So in January 2025, I spent thousands of dollars on this letter, simply asking for clarification. We explained that this has already been put to bed. So we just reluctantly work with them if changes need to be made. But we simply asked for clarification under what statutory basis they had the authority to have a second pass at this, because they're outside their statute of limitations. Their own director of compliance said it was over. We pretty quickly got a letter of acknowledgement back. It was just 2 short sentences, just basically saying, thank you for the detailed response. We'll now decide how to further proceed with this investigation. That was in January. We heard nothing. Late June, I just received 2 fines or 2 infringement notices in the mail. So I don't think that's due process. I don't think that's fair when we're trying to work with a government regulator, that they just slap 2 fines, very conveniently, mind you, towards the end of the financial year and in time for their annual report. So we still have no explanation, Natalie. We don't know. What about the other 6 products on the list that they asked us to comment? Are they okay now? Even on the fines, it says that paying the fines is not an admission of guilt. So why on earth would I pay them? And again, on a moral objection, we're not going to let a corrupt government agency police food products.
And the fine, or along with the fine, if you were to pay it, are you then required to stop selling the product, or you're free to continue selling it?
Your guess is as good as mine. And this comes back to malfeasance, like they don't, it's not professional. We have no clear direction. We have no idea what they're thinking. And we're left to guess. So how can you regulate a company but not give them clear guidelines? The way that I would have liked to have seen it is very simple. Before you approach me or any company, you better know damn well what you're talking about. You don't keep changing the scope. Now it's this many products. Now it's that many. I've lost thousands of dollars over the years amending labels, all our marketing and everything, because they say so. And then they turn around and say, this is no longer of interest to us. Why didn't you do your homework before you approached us? That, as a small business, that cost us money. You'll see that since June, we really haven't advertised. We haven't done anything because we don't know what we should be doing. That's thousands of dollars of losses for us. Again, we have 11 years of losses, and this is why, early estimates we're looking at about losses of $18 to $20 million that we'll be suing for.
Has Augustine Approved ever had any issues, allegations, or complaints made against the company?
According to Freedom of Information requests that we put out between 2014 and 17, there were, I think, 5 complaints, and none of which could be verified were from customers. So it could just be people in the pharmaceutical or veterinary field that didn't like what we were doing and just wanted to bring us onto the APVMA radar. Remember that because we were the first to do something and we were making noise and we were really getting up there, at the birth of social media and influencing, it really dampened us. But there's nothing that we could verify. And I'm very approachable. If there's an issue, talk to me.
The reason I ask that is because in recent years, we've seen major issues with drugs like Beransa, or Librela is what it's called in countries outside of Australia and New Zealand. And that drug has been used to treat arthritis. And there are documented cases of dogs dying or having to be euthanized after the medication being administered. So do you know, and maybe you don't, is Zoetis facing fines, and is Beransa being taken off the market?
This is where it gets really interesting and really dark. I don't know specifically if they are, but what I can tell you is that the way the legislation is set out, essentially, I don't know the markers, but rather than fines, once a product is registered, because remember the APVMA is putting their name to that this product is safe and effective according to the science that they have reviewed. Okay, which science that the companies themselves produce. You can argue how good the science is, how thorough they've been. If they're being misleading, that's a different issue. But what you'll find with the APVMA is, for example, let's say there's a side effect of a product of vomiting. There will be X amount of adverse reactions reported before the company is then forced to put on their disclaimers that there may be an adverse reaction of vomiting, death, and so on, for everything. But there's no, from what we can see, the APVMA only regulates up to the point of sale, and they're essentially expecting these companies to manage adverse reactions, even deaths, directly with the customers. So I haven't seen them take any action. Now, when we asked once the APVMA years ago why they took such strong action against pet products, which is far more stringent than human products, they said because animals can't speak, they don't have a voice, so we need to defend them. Ironically, recently I'm aware of a product, may have been a pesticide, that had a particular ingredient that the APVMA decided to remove from market, and they issued a statement essentially saying that they don't want to risk the health of people. But to your point, all these drugs do have adverse reactions reported, including death for animals, and they don't do anything about that is meaningful. However, they do choose to spend their time fining companies for selling coconut oil.
Why do you think the APVMA is coming after Augustine Approved?
I think that when you don't have a meaningful way of regulating the companies that fund you directly, because if you think about it, with all the adverse reactions of the registered products, if they started issuing infringement notices or taking action against those companies, they would simply take their products out of Australia. It wouldn't be worth it. So they have to be seen to regulate. They need income. And what I've noticed by speaking to over a dozen companies over the years, similar to my natural businesses, just trying to do the right thing, is that the APVMA's energy is spent on what they feel are the little guys that they can push around, because most people do get scared and just comply. But yeah, I've come to the realization that after 11 years, they're never going to leave us alone. They're always going to find something. It'll be new staff, new management. They'll start all this up again in 3-4 years. So we're not going to back down. Now, I don't know if you've reached out to them, but for example, it's been well over It's been over close to 2 weeks from when we're recording this, that their deadline passed that we gave them to revoke the fines and take certain action. They don't get back to us. So again, we're completely lost as to what they're thinking. We've analyzed every possible scenario, but I think this is a case of the less we say up front, the less we can incriminate ourselves, and let's just see where this goes.
Well, to answer your question, I did reach out to the APVMA, and the initial email that I sent them had questions about how they operate as a government body, and also questions about the case with Augustine Approved. And the response that I got was the APVMA does not comment regarding individual compliance activities, which is fair enough. I thought that they may have responded to the questions just about how they operate so that I have a better understanding. I was upfront that we would be sitting down and having this conversation. So after I received that response, I wrote a second email with about 15 questions, all regarding to how they operate as a government entity, nothing to do with the investigation on Augustine Approved, and I did not receive a response.
And that was to what, their media department, or?
Yes.
Typical, a media department that doesn't answer questions that are of interest to the public. Oh dear. But this is what I mean. And when we have read, and I've been sent documentation from other natural businesses about how the APVMA deals with them, and the inconsistencies it's crazy. It's all over the place. The fact that their approach isn't uniform, and this is why these issues happen. And I just want to make a point that one of the major allegations that we're putting towards the APVMA is that the fines, I want to be very specific about this for those people with small businesses watching. They allege that on the 2nd of November, we, as Augustine Approved, supplied the 2 products mentioned to someone. And because they allege that these products should be registered as veterinary chemical medicines, which is absurd, they're alleging that that is an offense of supply. Even if you take away all the past history that we had up until 2017 with them, they still exceeded the 12-month statute of limitations for time to bring infringements, because they contacted me again in March or April last year, so November was too late. They're alleging the same offense, and we have reason to believe that they employ the services of a private investigator to purchase these products. Now, I know that they will argue that it's within their rights to hire a private investigator. Public interest, I don't know how people will feel about that's where our tax money goes. But we actually don't believe that it is within their rights. They have very designated framework to work within. There is precedent in past cases of this. They have to work within their framework, and they do not have covert powers. So it is absolutely absurd to even question if these products that are readily available online, if we're supplying them. And my question is, why ask me to comment 2 weeks or thereabouts after paying someone to buy the products, and then you never raised this for nearly 7 months? I'm not told of this alleged offense. So literally, we've received fines totaling almost $25,000 for the sale of 1 coconut oil and 1 super heel. And not once did they follow process and bring it to our attention and say, hey, what do you have to say about this?
What changes would you like to see made at the APVMA after this issue is resolved?
Firstly, immediately they need to recognize and back off from natural products. We're not hurting anyone. We have had enough, so we are organizing a petition. We are also putting together an association of natural and organic companies that want to see reform. So the main change that we will push for, and I will be relentless, this is the hill that I've chosen to die on, is we would like to see a complementary medicines listing similar to the TGA, but inside the AgVet code. And if they can't or won't do it, then we will push to move regulation for natural animal products, which I'm all for, either to the TGA, which is not the first time this idea has been floated, or an organic certification body, someone like Australian Certified Organic.
And what toll has this issue taken on you both personally and professionally?
It's been 11 years of confusion, not knowing what you can and can't say. On a business level, I'll say first, since 2017, I've had to watch other companies that have copied us, have come after us, make outlandish claims, and also do the right thing and get away with murder, basically, because they're not on the APVMA radar, while we've stuck to the same marketing claims from 2017, thinking we had an understanding with the APVMA. So my business has been stunted. I've had, some people don't even know who we are, and we basically wrote the book on this stuff. It's affected my relationships, obviously, my income greatly. I've lost so many opportunities. Even recently, I've missed out on going on 2 podcasts, promoting, marketing with other companies wanting to work with us. It's all very well documented, but we just keep missing out on opportunities, while other companies that, they get a bright idea to get into the pet space because, there's so much money to be made, they believe, that we're missing out. And that's why I think it's time we set a precedent here and we're compensated, because we haven't done anything wrong.
What's next for Augustine Approved?
Well, we recently, true to our word, we filed a complaint with the Commonwealth Ombudsman. Then again, this is everything we put in our complaint to the APVMA. We're going to the Auditor Generals. There's other nice surprises for them in there. And we will be taking legal action. We're going to be now going back to focusing on an event that we're running in November. And just pushing on and spreading the word that, you know, food is the true medicine. And it's the original medicine, and they should not have jurisdiction.
So do you want to tell us about this event in November?
Sure. It's called Canine Masters. We held our first event in 2015, where it was headlined by Rodney Habib and Dr. Karen Becker from the US and Canada. And part of it is, since then, we haven't been able to do another one because of all the setbacks with the APVMA. So, lucky I had that there. Show you here. Let's have a look. So we have incredible speakers. Rita Hogan, Dr. Michael Dim, Caroline Ingraham, Dr. Matthew Muir, and Amy Renz. Incredible speakers all coming to Melbourne. What I love about this is that some of these people, you could argue, were all competitors, even the sponsors, but we all put our differences aside for one day and we all get together and we just share knowledge. It's a love event. This is not something that is driven by money. It's just all in the spirit of learning. And November 15th, and anyone that's interested in natural health and what's possible through food, we'd love for you to come. It's a very limited seating. And yeah, I just want to assure everyone as well that while I've had a setback personally with the APVMA, the show must go on, and we have a lot of people working behind the scenes to bring an event that hasn't been seen before in Australia.
Well, I will have the link to the event, to your petition that you have set up, everything to do with Augustine Approved in the description below, so that people can find you, support you, join the event. Phivo, I wish you the best of luck in this fight against the APVMA. I look forward to speaking with you hopefully sooner rather than later with an update as to where this all lands. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Natalie. We're very grateful for the opportunity to speak with you.